Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Well, the day many have been eagerly awaiting has arrived, with Tasmania reopening its border with Victoria for the first time since March. The business community optimistic as visitors from one of our biggest tourism markets return. Airport terminals awash with emotion as families reunited.
A hug with no limits after a year of extreme boundaries.
It's been a long time since we've seen each other, so There's a nana.
Passengers touching down in both Launceston and Hobart for the first time under open borders.
I told them they'll be married by the time I get back to see them. Thank God they're not.
Oh God, to actually have her here is just incredible.
Putting behind months and months of torment for priceless time with loved ones.
I didn't think I'd cry, but I think the emotions just take over.
Close to 2,000 travellers from Victoria are expected to arrive in Tasmania today by air and by sea, and for the first time since March, won't have to undergo 14 days in hotel quarantine.
I was just stuck in Melbourne with my partner, and yeah, it's been a long 6, 7, I don't even know how long it's been.
As hundreds arrived, many departed. Fire crews giving the first plane to leave the tarmac in Launceston a water cannon salute. The airport CEO says a number of flights across all 3 airlines are booked out over the coming weeks, but pre-pandemic levels are still a long way off.
I expect we'll be around 70%, certainly for the first half of 2021, but it's going to take a good couple of years before we fully recover.
Today also a turning point in Tasmania's COVID recovery, specifically for our crippled tourism industry.
Victoria is one of our biggest markets. Melbourne is certainly one of the biggest markets for Tasmania.
Chef Massimo Mele understands the importance firsthand.
Getting some interstate visitors just gives us a little bit of boost that we need financially.
As the former COVID capital reaches a milestone, 28 days without a case, the Health Minister insists Tasmanians won't be put at risk.
Victorians, when they come here, will have to register with the Tassie Travel app and ensure that they're complying with all our current restrictions here in Tasmania.
The border restrictions imposed on South Australia will be monitored over the coming weeks.
We're very hopeful that we'll be able to see South Australia also become low risk.
Many families surely hoping that decision comes before Christmas. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
And arrivals didn't just come by air. The Spirit of Tasmania docked in Devonport this morning, bringing added hope for tourism operators here.
The first Spirit of Tasmania to arrive since the border to Victoria opened wasn't just bringing family and friends.
It's our major market. We need the Victorians to come back to help us build our visitor economy.
It was also bringing Victorian dollars. Tasmania's tourism, hospitality and retail sectors are expectant.
You think about the pent-up demand for travel in Victoria. They've been in lockdown, they've been through a really tough time. They love Tassie.
So people come off the Spirit, they call in, they grab their lotto tickets, they buy some magazines, sometimes they buy a few souvenirs. It helps reinvigorate the town as well, having people coming from other places and visiting.
Tearing down the border wall is expected to help the entire local economy here in Devonport, given it's the gateway to Tasmania for those arriving on the Spirit.
It'll give some surety, particularly to our restaurants and those sorts of things. So, you know, they know that if they're open that there will be people around.
It's only over the river there, so that they come in and we're close by, they need something to eat, we're a very easy option.
They're hoping that Tassie can continue to stir up mainland interest.
We've definitely noticed an influx of visitors since restrictions have been lifted in certain states, and we do rely on the tourists big time here.
Nearby caravan parks are expecting their numbers to pick up soon. It's the return of day sailings next month that will help them.
We don't get a lot off a morning arrival. We tend to get more off an evening arrival, and we pick up the travellers on their way back, waiting to catch the Spirit.
They're hoping more will start to roll in soon.
Forward bookings haven't really started coming in strong, but January, February we've had a lot of interest in those months.
Despite local support keeping our businesses afloat, it's the return of interstate visitors that could be make or break. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
And with that wave of travellers arriving in Tasmania, the iconic and controversial Museum of Old and New Art is finally reopening. Though entry is usually free for Tasmanians, will need to initially pay a small deposit to help the revamped Mona get back on its feet.
Not a person in sight here at Mona, but after nearly 9 long months of quiet, down below, the gallery is coming back to life.
Oh, it's been lonely. It's been really lonely. But there's more of an energy building up on site.
A Christmas treat, with the museum to reopen on Boxing Day, just before its 10th anniversary.
We'll be operating from Friday to Monday, 4 days a week. We can't wait to have a full music program of local musicians every day from lunchtime right through till late afternoon on the lawn.
The gallery closing in March due to COVID-19, but with Tasmania now open to most jurisdictions, tourists are being welcomed back.
And we're really encouraging people not only to come and visit us, but to also get out and experience Tasmania in general.
As a temporary measure, locals will need to book and pay a $10 deposit with the option to be reimbursed.
We can't have people registering, if you like, or booking and not coming, because then it affects the opportunity for others to come. So it's a way of guaranteeing getting people to invest in their trip.
Their trip involving viewing the revamped museum, displaying old classics and brand new pieces, including a 7-metre bronze sculpture, doubling as a children's playground outside, and even more inside.
We're sort of transforming them into a little bit of a domestic space in a way, and featuring David's amazing collection. We've got some old stuff, some new stuff.
As well as welcoming people back into the gallery, those behind Mona have also created an incentive to get people on board the ferries and crossing the River Derwent once again.
It's the best way to approach Mona. There's a special $15 ticket available to everyone until the end of January to entice locals especially to really get on board the ferry.
As the museum slowly reopens, the site's 400 staff will return to work. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania has been declared 100% renewable energy self-sufficient, thanks to a legacy of hydro dams and new wind farms. All turbines at Granville Harbour are finally spinning and connected to the network after nearly 20 years of work.
You only need to listen. At Granville Harbour, the big blow barely stops. 17 years after the idea first surfaced, Tasmania's newest wind farm is finally finished, leaving the beef farmers who own the land hungry for more.
I really got a buzz out of building the wind farm, and we were actually thinking about another project close by. My father always said you can sleep when you're dead.
31 turbines pumping out 112 megawatts, enough to power 46,000 homes. Building it took 2.5 years. Every hurdle from heavy rains to COVID stood in the path of crews.
I spent a lot of time here in some of the darkest and wettest times of the year, and it was muddy and it was hard and days were short and it was cold.
Giving the state a new title to boast.
Tasmania now is 100% fully self-sufficient in renewable energy. I can feel that electricity moving through my veins. It's so exciting.
Allowing Tassie businesses to brand themselves as green is a while off. Authorities are working on a certification label.
What it will mean is that more businesses will want to come to Tasmania as renewable energy becomes more and more important as a part of your brand proposition.
Despite more wind farms coming online, Tasmania remains overwhelmingly reliant on hydro. The state government is now focusing on reaching a 200% renewable target by 2040, but achieving that is easier said than done.
With Marinus Link, Battery of the Nation, our renewable hydrogen plans, it's all coming together.
The state will keep importing power from the mainland when it's cheaper, as well as retaining the gas-fired Tamar Valley Power Station. At Granville, workers are just pleased to see the job done.
If I never get to build another wind farm again, I'm happy for this one to be the one that I finish on.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
The eyes of the state's artistic world are on Launceston's Princes Square for the start of Junction Hometown. Event-starved Tasmanians have snapped up tickets after the original arts festival was shelved earlier this year.
If you could have one superpower in a year of being grounded, perhaps it would be to fly.
So the intention behind it is that we do have wings. We can spread our wings, we can fly again.
At 6 metres wide and taking 80 hours to put together, the wings are made entirely of recycled tents.
It's been a huge journey and a lot of maths.
And organisers have had to do their sums as well. A maximum of 1,000 people are allowed into Princess Square tonight, including staff.
Very scaled down version and really for hometown.
And as such, only 1 bar's required this year instead of the usual 3.
It's really nice to be able to do something for the community again and get back into what we're good at.
And as the sun goes down, 100 people will circle the Princess Square fountain for a choreographed rendition of Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire.
I'm interested to see what 100 community members working together will do with Tas Dance and some very signature music around the fountain.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, King Island's key freight vessel will finally resume its weekly service tomorrow following major repairs and multiple setbacks. The John Dygan sustained damage in June and was sent to Adelaide and Sydney to replace the ship's propeller shafts. But multiple issues over the past few months resulted in delays for the vessel to return to Bass Strait. Tasport says Bass Island Line has ensured the continuity of services for the King Island community through charter arrangements during the outage. Investigations into the cause of the damage are ongoing. And the King Island Courier will live on after it was snapped up by a local public relations firm. The weekly newspaper had been in running for 37 years, but earlier this month, editors printed what was thought to be the final edition. Instead, it's been taken over by Font PR, a company led by 2 former Liberal staffers. It's the 7th masthead it owns now, previously defending the independence of its publications. The newspaper will begin printing again early next year. Well, from turning glass into concrete to using plastic to create everyday objects, green innovation is being pushed here in Tasmania. $16 million of new state and federal funding handed down to boost the state's recycling industry and infrastructure through new ideas and facility upgrades, also aimed at developing plastic recycling even further.
We might get a HDPE or a milk bottle come in, that's put into a bale and shipped off somewhere else to get processed. But what the modernisation will enable to happen is that that stuff can be granulated and we can then use it here.
We need to start looking at this not as stuff to throw away, but as stuff that we need to recover and reuse and turn into new products.
Expressions of interest will be released soon for local waste and recycling companies.
And it's Friday flashback time now, and tonight we're celebrating when Tasmania's Marcus Ambrose became the first Australian to win a NASCAR race when he powered to victory at Watkins Glen in New York in 2008. Tomorrow, the car he drove in that famous victory is going under the hammer with a hefty price tag.
How about Marcus Ambrose? 3 laps to go. If he's got enough fuel in this thing, he's got it in the bag.
The commentary team leaves you in no doubt. You are watching NASCAR.
How special would this be for Marcus Ambrose? All the way from Tasmania, little island just below Australia.
Easy now.
Having switched from V8 supercars to the American format 2 years earlier, Ambrose would make an indelible mark on his adopted series in 2008. In a race where the 2 frontrunners, Jeff Burton and Jimmy Johnson, ran low on fuel and had to pit, Ambrose would play it smart, maximising his fuel efficiency and speed to be the best by the line.
Marcus Ambrose goes to victory lane for the first time in his career at Watkins Glen.
Way to go, mate! Hey, I can't believe it, man. What a day. We broke the back of that duck, man. We're away. Woo! Great job, guys.
After 59 starts, Ambrose would fulfil a lifelong dream, finishing 4 seconds clear of Kyle Busch to become the first Australian to win a NASCAR race.
You won! Man, it just feels so good to get that off my back. You know, I've come so far.
His famous Ford spent a decade in an old workshop in Charlotte, North Carolina. And tomorrow, it goes under the hammer following an online auction running in Queensland. The highest bid so far is well over $200,000. The memories, of course, are priceless.
Good evening, everyone. Hobart, the state's top today, reaching 27 degrees, 23 in Launceston, Devonport 20 and 19 in Burnie. Bushy Park also reaching a top of 27 today, Grove 26, 25 in Strawn, Friendly Beaches and King Island 23 and 20 in both Smithton and St Helens. Low-level cloud can be seen around the north of Tasmania today as high-level cloud streams across the remainder of the state. Further out, a large high-level cloud band can be seen extending from the southwest of Western Australia across the Bight, while low-level cloud sits over much of the mainland. Tomorrow's chart shows a high-pressure ridge extending up the eastern seaboard and another over southwestern Western Australia. Several low-pressure systems and troughs remain over the mainland. Westerly winds about the south tomorrow morning, 15 to 25 knots, and mostly northwest to southwesterly winds below 10 knots elsewhere. Partly cloudy and 22 in Hobart tomorrow, Maydena 20, Oatlands reaching 20 with a shower or two. Showers throughout the north with Launceston reaching 23, 19 in Devonport and Lyowini. 19 in Burnie tomorrow, a shower or two, and 19 in Strawn, Marrawar a top of 17. And in the east, showers and 20 in St Helens, 21 in Swansea and Orford with some showers also. And the UV tomorrow is very high across the state, with the sun expected to rise close to 5:30 a.m. Looking on to Sunday now, showers easing and contracting to the west and northeast. Showers about the northeast on Monday, mainly fine elsewhere. And on Tuesday, rain developing about the west and south, extending statewide during the afternoon. 25 in Perth tomorrow, Adelaide 38, showers developing in Melbourne, sunny in Sydney and Brisbane, and 34 in Darwin. And it's currently cloudy across the state tonight with Hobart 19 degrees, 20 in Launceston and 18 in Devonport. And Kim, that's Friday night's weather.
That's your news for now. Thanks for joining us this evening. You can catch Louise over the weekend. Have a great one. Good night.